Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here at MindSpark Learning today. I am excited to bring you this on-demand clinic on iRacing and accessibility in schools. My name is Justin Goldman. I'm the Director of Athletic Partnerships and Esports here at MindSpark, and I'm really passionate about the convergence between traditional sports and scholastic esports and how schools can engage students and inspire them to achieve greatness in gaming and esports. So a little bit more about our program here at MindSpark. We really focus on four key components to scholastic esports. The first one being the program development. So we love going into schools and helping schools get their esports programs off the ground and running. And then the next piece is the career pathways for the individual students themselves. So really inspiring kids to pursue a career, whether it's in the actual gaming side or on any of the components of the esports industry as a whole. We love to help schools develop curriculum in their esports programs that help kids go on that journey towards that career pathway. Mental performance is the other key component to our program, where we're really looking at the holistic development of the individual student and really ensuring that their mental health and well-being is being focused on within a scholastic esports program. And then the last piece, of course, which is a key component to all of our programming at MindSpark Learning, is that social emotional learning component. That's one of the key benefits to casual and competitive esports, is the ability for students to kind of develop those team-based and interpersonal skills. So those are the four key components of our esports program here at MindSpark. And again, with any of the offerings that we have within our esports program, if you want more information on how it works or what kind of services we provide for your school, you can always connect with us through our website. I'm really excited and passionate about these topics, as you can tell. So I would love to chat with you about your scholastic esports program or any ideas you have for developing one in the near future. So getting into today's session on iRacing and accessibility in schools, I really wanted to discuss how iRacing or simulation racing can be used to teach STEM-based curriculum in schools, and how that can actually open doors for kids of all backgrounds to pursue esports and racing careers. And just by this image alone, you can see that there's a lot of mechanical and technological components to, simulation racing, and that can be a huge benefit for schools that are looking to engage certain kids and get them excited about, a lot of the great things that they can learn through racing. And so that's really what this session's all focused on. And I think one of the great places to start is just to think back when you were a kid. Maybe one of the biggest thrills was actually, imagining yourself behind the wheel of a vehicle or a race car, and just imagining yourself driving down the street as fast as you can possibly go. And I think everyone's kind of had this sort of experience. I know for me personally, when I think back to when I was 11 or 12 years old, nothing was more thrilling than, imagining myself behind the seat of, or behind the wheel of a fast car, and imagining myself driving. And so this is something that I think we can all kind of resonate in some way. I know kids these days have these really awesome electric racing cars that they can get in and scoot around, and that's a really cool experience if you're a parent or a kid. But this is something that, generally speaking, we all kind of experience growing up. And I think it's this thrilling idea that kids love the idea of racing, but obviously they can't do it in real life. But in a simulated environment or in a virtual environment, they can learn how to drive, they can learn how to race well before the age of 15 or 16. And there's a lot of value in that for schools. And so that's where we kind of get to this idea of shifting gears towards a new game-based model for teaching kids and teaching students how to drive. And so you have this traditional learning model that I think is fairly outdated. It's something that's been around for, many decades now. And that's this model where, you don't really start driving classes until around the age of 15. And really the focus in the classroom is on, safety and the laws. And then the driving skills come later on near the end. And there really is no incentive or reward during that learning process other than knowing that you're finally going to get, that driver's permit or that driving license when you turn 16. But if we were to start incorporating a game-based model in schools that leaned on simulation racing and iRacing, this is really exciting because this is something that can actually start way back in elementary school when a student is 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. And what's great about the game-based model for, teaching kids how to drive and teaching kids about the benefits of racing is that the safety, the laws, and the driving skills themselves converge together all in one experience. And that's not only going to, inspire those kids and help them enjoy the experience, but the learning is going to heighten as a result. And along the way, in a game-based model, there are rewards for safe virtual racing, and that's going to be a great incentive for those kids that are learning these new skills well before the traditional learning model that starts around the age of 15. So this is just something to kind of think of as we continue through this session, and something that I believe fully can be integrated into schools in a fairly simple way. So as we kind of move on here and start to introduce more components of the iRacing platform, what I wanted to do is just play this quick 1-minute video of this young kid named Alex who is actually participating in an iRacing league practice. So you can see his pretty basic little driving simulator set up here with the steering wheel and the TV connected to the gaming system. And I just want you to think about the learning that's taking place here in a fairly unstructured environment. He's just on his own with his parent, over his shoulder recording this video. And as you watch this, just again, think about the learning that's taking place in this kid's experience.
Dive bombs are illegal, Alex.
Okay, so pretty cool video that I really enjoy watching because, again, you see the learning that's taking place. The kid is extremely focused on, having both hands on the wheel. He's getting some great guided cues from the actual iRacing platform in terms of, watching out for other cars on the track. Everything that is incorporated with virtual racing, from drifting and, being able to shift up and down gears, it was all kind of wrapped into this really cool virtual experience for that child. And he's learning pretty valuable skills, not just the driving, but everything else around it at a very young age. And so it's a safe experience. It's a fun experience, and all the while the learning is taking place. So again, that's just a glimpse at the benefits of the iRacing platform. But what exactly is iRacing? Well, I'm going to introduce you to the platform and give you a much more comprehensive overview of what it can offer schools and students. And so real simply, iRacing is a virtual racing platform that allows anyone over the age of 12 to pursue a virtual professional driving career. So what makes it so exciting for schools is the fact that it's game-based learning wrapped around a wide variety of STEM-related curriculum, which I'll show you here in a little bit, in both a competitive and a casual platform. So there's a lot of versatility and a lot of different dynamic approaches that schools can take when starting to incorporate this into the school or the classroom or scholastic esports program. So it is a very powerful learning tool that I believe many schools have not even started thinking about tapping into. But over the next couple of years, I will not be surprised if you do start to see racing simulators in schools and in certain classrooms. So again, to give you a more comprehensive breakdown of the iRacing platform, their website, which is available at iracing.com, has a plethora of informative introductory videos. And here's one of them that I think, kind of encompasses the whole platform and some of the benefits that it can bring schools.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Okay, so another really cool video that kind of breaks down the iRacing platform and all of the great opportunities that it presents for students of all ages and for schools as well. And you saw a lot of those different components, whether it was, creating your own racing team, going on an individual journey and developing your skills and kind of leveling up. But again, the learning that is kind of wrapped around this fun and enjoyable racing experience is really where the benefit comes in for schools. And just a few of the things that iRacing or virtual racing is going to teach kids is, different engineering components like drift, or physics components like drift, downforce, and drag, the 3 key Ds to racing. It's also going to teach those mental skills like focus, poise, and attention. The simulation training as a whole is a really key component that's become very mainstream in a lot of different esports, scholastic esports programs. And then the concept of motorsport engineering, which is something that kids can pursue in college and as a professional career. It really can start at those elementary school level with iRacing. So again, it really does incorporate a lot of different learning components. And this is, again, where the benefits come in for schools all around the world. And to kind of look at that racing career pathway that can start with the iRacing platform in grade school, all you have to do is take a look at this little chart here, and the ideas should start to kind of flow in your mind with some of the things that you can do if you're an educator in a school, or a principal of a school and want to incorporate more game-based learning or scholastic esports into your community. It can be broken down into 2 main parts. You have the STEM-based curriculum where through this racing experience, you're learning about the science, technology, engineering, and math components of mechanical engineering and racing. And then, of course, on the esports side, you have like all the great benefits that a scholastic esports program brings, all highlighted and all kind of brought together in this iRacing platform, where it can be both individual and team-based racing. And this is a really key component, I think, for schools and educators to understand, because let's face it, not every student is comfortable performing in a team-based environment. And one of the great things that iRacing brings is that kids can develop that confidence on an individual level. It's really just them behind the steering wheel, performing in their own mind and trying to stay focused on the track and have success, without feeling like they have to be in a team-based environment where they may or may not fit in with the other teammates or the other students. So the fact that racing is an individual sport, so to speak, but still includes some of those team-based team-based components, like your pit crew, or putting together an actual racing team for different types of races. It kind of has both elements involved in it, and that's really, again, another great benefit for the students that are passionate about iRacing and simulation racing. And all of that's going to trickle down into the future racing workforce. And there's a lot of statistics out there that are showing that more individuals that are joining the racing workforce or pursuing a career in professional racing got their start in the sim racing world. So it really is a very straightforward and holistic career pathway that can start in grade school with simulation racing. So here's just another video that starts to show this convergence between, game-based learning and actual learning in schools when it comes to STEM-based curriculum through this program called NASCAR Acceleration Nation. And this is a program that NASCAR sponsors to help get more kids involved and excited about learning about racing.
And that's how restrictor plates reduce air intake. Moving on, drag is one of your biggest competitors.
It slows you down, so make sure your car is streamlined.
And don't forget to get an edge with drafting.
Take advantage of the high-pressure air between your car and the one in front. Then you can slingshot.
You guys taking notes?
At the track, in the classroom, and online. Visit AccelerationNation.com or download the Acceleration Nation app today.
Okay, so again, just another quick video to show you that these worlds are converging, that simulation racing and game-based learning are kind of converging together, coming together, and really providing this great platform for schools to get kids involved in a lot of the different things that you can learn through racing. Another program is called Launch. This one's from the NHRA. It's a great program that helps onboard kids and get them excited about motorsports careers. So again, just another example of a program that exists through this iRacing pipeline that can help engage kids and help them, learn more about all the great benefits of a potential racing career. And this is an image that I wanted to share because I think this is something I would love to see in more schools. Not only is the iRacing, experience awesome, but actually building the components that you need to participate in iRacing or virtual racing can be a great experience for kids. So actually building out this simulator can be a great exercise for kids that are excited about technology and other STEM-based curriculum and want to participate in this. So it's one thing to just bring in, an expensive simulator and drop it in a classroom, but it's quite another to actually rally the kids that are excited about racing and want to bring this to their scholastic esports program and actually have them work together to build the components and put it together as a team, and then actually have that system ready to go so that they can start their iRacing career or the iRacing program in their school. So just putting the components together can be a great learning experience for the students that are excited about this and something that a lot of schools can benefit from. And, obviously there is going to be a cost associated with this, but it's really important to understand that it doesn't have to be the greatest and the most expensive simulator to work well. A couple of monitors, the steering wheel component, and the program is really all you need. And there are a lot of very, cost-efficient ways to create a simulator, a racing simulator that can be used in a school. So again, this is where the world of convergence really comes into play and why we lean on it so heavily here at MindSpark with our esports program, because that is where it's really increasing the accessibility. And as the technology improves and game-based learning becomes a little bit more accepted in schools around the country, it becomes more accessible to kids than ever before. And that's what we're seeing with sim racing. This is something that used to only be done in arcades or maybe at a friend's house if they had the technology. But now you're starting to see simulators actually start to pop up in more schools. And again, there's a lot of great stories and a lot of great research out there that is showing the benefits of having a simulator in school. And a lot of those things we've already been talking about. So why does convergence matter? Why is it so important to kind of keep an eye on how traditional sports and esports are kind of coming together in schools around the country? And the reason for that is because Generation Z, like a lot of students, they are already deeply connected to the gaming and esports world. So as these two worlds, traditional sports and esports, continue to kind of lean on each other, it is creating a ton of new careers and new career paths for students that maybe 5 or 10 years ago they weren't really able to pursue until they were much older. So it's really opening the doors for educators and coaches as well to integrate more STEM-based and game-based learning into their programs, whether it's in the classroom or it's on the field. So this is why we keep an eye on convergence, because every day, different sports leagues are leaning more on the virtual component to engage the fan base, especially during COVID, but it's also starting to open doors for a lot of students and a lot of schools to incorporate into scholastic esports programs. And there's really no limit to what schools can do in that regard. And one of the great examples of this in racing, like traditional professional racing, is when NASCAR had to pivot when the COVID pandemic hit last March. And NASCAR was voted by Sport Techie as the professional sport of the year because they were able to transition their pro racers to a virtual racing platform literally almost overnight. And Michael McDowell, who's one of the top NASCAR racers right now, has this great quote in an article on Sport Techie saying that virtual racing went from being used as a learning tool for many of us to being something competitive where we can actually race against other people on a professional level. So it really helped fill the void or fill the adrenaline rush void that they were missing when COVID hit and they weren't able to actually race in person. So the technology and the immersion of virtual racing is so good now that it's actually being used on a professional level, and the racers are actually accepting this and embracing this and realizing that there's a lot of benefit to this virtual racing platform. So again, that shows that convergence is taking place and that there's a lot of value in bringing this to schools, because it's only going to prepare those students for the future that's actually happening right now on these virtual platforms. So one last video before I wrap up this on-demand clinic. And again, it's really looking at the career pathways that virtual racing can create for students in a real life setting once they get to college and beyond. And this student, Megan, talks about how virtual racing kind of set her up for success in the real world as a motorsport engineer.
Motorsport engineering is a really cool subject to study. You start by learning the fundamentals of engineering and then take those and apply them to motorsport applications. I grew up watching Formula One from a very young age, and then that progressed to a passion in endurance racing. I find it fascinating that sometimes the car has to last 24 hours, which is something that even we can't do by ourselves. I chose to study at Oxford Brookes because it's in the heart of Motorsport Valley, and the industry links that the university have are really, really strong. Oxford Brookes Racing is the university's Formula student team. We're the top UK team and have been for a few years, so generally we go to competitions and have quite a good performance, both dynamically and statically. The best thing about the course is being able to be involved in Formula Student right from your very first day. With Formula Student, you get to design, manufacture and race your own single-seater race car. You get to show from the very get-go that you have a passion and a drive to be a part of motorsport. Engineering is everywhere, from bridges to planes to in medical applications. So it's not something that is just centred around motorsport, it's something that the whole world needs. So having an engineering degree means that you can really go and do anything that you put your mind to.
Okay, so just to kind of wrap this up, I think she had one really key quote in that video, and she said, engineering is everywhere. And I think when you look at iRacing and all the great opportunities that it provides for schools, like we've discussed over the last 15 minutes, really becomes apparent that it is a wonderful learning platform, an immersive one, a safe one, and one where kids can really find that passion and engage their passion for racing and engineering and motorsports and car design and all of the other great, kind of components that come with racing as a passion. And kids can pursue that all the way through college and all the way through their professional lives. And it really can start in the school with an iRacing program or a virtual racing program. And that's really the goal of this on-demand clinic, is to get you to start thinking about ways that you can incorporate this into your esports program or your school, and to just continue to look at game-based learning as a truly powerful tool for schools and educators and coaches as well. So I hope you enjoyed that. Again, I'm sure it's going to at least get you thinking about these things. And of course, you can always connect with us after the fact. We're available every day of the week, and we love to have discussions around these topics. Anything that we can do to help inspire students and help schools get their students more engaged in, the learning experience, and to help develop that future career pathway. We're all about it. So we have more esports programming coming up in the future. Of course, you can always go back and view some of our on-demand clinics through our YouTube webpage. And so again, feel free to reach out at any time. I will make sure that my email address is included at the end of this video. And thank you so much for joining. Again, if you have any other questions about our esports program, or you'd just like to view some of our curriculum, mindspark.org/esports is that website. And we really appreciate you checking out this on-demand video, and we will see you next time here at mindspark.org.